up, Cellar Dwellers? You're back for another installment of the Movie Sellers Month of Horrors, Terrors Through Time. And today, I'm going to bring you my pick for the 1940s. I went with a film called The Spiral Staircase that was released in 1946. It was directed by a dude named Robert Siodmak, who was a well-known director of film noir. This movie is a combination thriller, horror, film noir type of deal. It stars Dorothy McGuire and Ethel Barrymore. Yes, same family as Drew Barrymore. I think she was Drew Barrymore's like great aunt or something along those lines. It was originally written, the main role of Helen was originally written for Ingrid Bergman, but as the movie moved to a different production company, they had to pick a new actress to play the role, because I think back in the 40s there was a lot of stuff where it was like, oh, Universal owns the rights to work with so-and-so, and you know, RKO owns the rights to work with so-and-so. I don't know exactly how it worked out, but ultimately they had to recast the role. But Dorothy McGuire absolutely killed in this movie. Just did a fantastic job. So the basic gist of the movie is that this town in Vermont, there's a serial killer on the loose who's been killing for like a decade. He targets young women with physical disabilities. The movie starts with people at a screening of a silent film. And after the film plays, a paraplegic woman is murdered. We don't know who the killer is. And then we go back to this, really nice like mansion home of this, the Warren family. Helen is there. She's there to take care of the mother, Mrs. Warren, who is sick and bedridden. Helen is mute. She doesn't or can't talk. We're not really sure. And the mother, Mrs. Warren, I say the mother because her two sons are there with her as well. She keeps telling Helen, you need to leave, you need to leave, you need to get out. Why don't you listen to me? You silly girl, you're going to get killed. Bad things are happening. You need to get out before you get killed. There is a doctor who shows up, and the mother talks to him. She's like, you got to get her out of here. He makes plans to get her out of there. He's going to bring her down to Boston so that she can work with somebody about her inability to speak, because he believes it's psychological, because when she was little apparently she could talk, and then her parents died or something like that, and the trauma of that made it so she couldn't talk. I mean, I don't know the validity of any of this, but that was the idea. So he's going to take her to Boston for that. Well, he gets called. Someone says, oh, you need to come over, little Johnny's sick. And this is back in the time when doctors were making house calls. So he's like, I'm going to go to this house call. I'll be back as soon as I can be. Don't let anybody in. Stay with Mrs. Warren. Stay safe. I'll be back. And then we'll leave. We'll leave tonight. So he leaves. It's a big storm, thunder, lightning, all this stuff. Really great, vibe for the movie. And then she goes back inside. And then there's another woman who's like the housekeeper. So she knows what's going on. She has caught wind of what's happening. And then she goes down in the basement, and the killer confronts her down there and kills her. We don't see the killer. We kind of see it from the perspective of the killer. We see we see the killer murder her. So that's kind of what happens. And then ultimately, Helen is confronted with the killer. I don't want to say who the killer is, because I really think you should check it out. It's a great movie. And I told the guys, when we were going to do this, they asked if we could do spoilers. I said, of course, these movies are super old. If people haven't seen them yet, they haven't seen them yet. you can't keep, can't keep secrets forever. You got to assume if a movie was made in the 40s, people have had a good chance to see it. But this movie's so good. I do not want to tell you the end. I want you to go check it out. Ultimately, though, obviously Helen survives and gets her voice back. So that was the movie. It's a really, really cool film. It had a very Hitchcock feel to it. I believe that one of the critics at the time said, it's the best film not made by Hitchcock. Because it feels just like his type of movies. Like, who, there's a murder on the loose. Who is it? And like stringing you along and building that suspense to like try to figure out what's going on. It also is considered by many to be like a precursor to the modern slasher movie. It has a lot of the tropes, or a lot of the elements that became tropes that really weren't at the time. It has a female protagonist. It has kind of that like final girl kind of vibe to it. And then, you don't see the killer. You see a lot from the point of view of the killer, right up until the very end, to the reveal of who the killer is. That's like a modern slasher trope as well. So it's really cool to see those things early on before they became the tropes that they were. I loved the ambiance of the film. It's in black and white. The score of this movie is just fantastic. Like from start to finish, it's just beautiful. I feel like if you just listen to the score, you would get an absolute like up and down and all the emotional turmoil that you experience watching the movie. I feel like you could probably get that from the music alone. It like doesn't stop through the whole movie until the end comes up on the screen, and that's when the final note hits. It's like just exquisitely scored. I love the house. It's this big, Victorian style mansion, with big staircase, obviously the big spiral staircase, which is part, the title of the film. It's got this big floral wallpaper, these beautiful sets, these beautiful scenes that are laid out, which it was all done like on a studio backlot, which is amazing. Just expertly laid out sets. The acting was fantastic in it. So, we like to ask, was the movie scary? It wasn't scary. Like, it was suspenseful, and I was engaged, and I was really interested in trying to figure out. I felt like they did a good job of sort of like, leading you down different paths of who the killer could be, and kind of leaving that hanging up in the air, and just like waiting for Helen to like use her voice, because what's going to happen. Like, she's got a couple chances and there's a couple like, clues that it's going to happen, like showing the telephone on the wall and stuff like that. But it's not scary. Like, I didn't like go to bed and have nightmares about it, but it is just like the vibe of it is so great. It's like so creepy and suspenseful. And so, the other question of whether this is a good movie for Halloween, this is a great Halloween movie. This is the kind of fun horror thriller movie that you want to be watching on Halloween. The music, the setting, the thunder, lightning, and rain in the background, the time period, like everything about it just screams Halloween, like classic traditional Halloween horror movie. So absolutely a great pick for the month of October. Also really interesting, before I get to my rating, I have to note that a lot of people believe this movie is a metaphor for the end of the silent film era, which I think is really cool to see it that way, because through the whole movie, Helen can't talk, and at the very end, she is able to use her voice again, and that is part of like, the resolution of the film. So I don't know if that's true or not, but I like it as an idea, and so I'm going to believe it and roll with that. Rating, I'm going to give this one a 9 out of 10. It's great. It's a great movie. I would give it a 10 out of 10, but like, I don't know. I feel like 10 is like reserved for something that's just like one of the best things I've ever seen. This was a fantastic movie. Perfectly made, really, really fun to watch, really, really well executed on all fronts. But at the end of the day, it wasn't something that I was just like, wow, I've never seen anything like that before. But it was very much like, wow, that was a very, very well made movie. And I'm really glad that I got the chance to watch it. So that's it, guys. That's my installment for the 1940s for Month of Horrors, Terrors Through Time. Make sure to tune back in tomorrow. And hope you guys are digging this. Make sure to subscribe so that you can keep up with these. And yeah, hope you guys are having a great month of October. Talk to you later.